Hi, and welcome back to the Quarry garden. Just pulling some weeds out and cleaning up all of the hedge cuttings from this newly shaped hedge. But Happy New Year everyone, I hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year. But I'm really glad that it's over with. I love it when it's here, but I can't wait to get back outside into the garden. We're just so fortunate this time of year. Here in my climate, I can actually garden still, so I'm really enjoying it. Even though it's been really wet and it's drizzly today, I'm really covered in mud. It's really muddy, the ground to work in, but I can still get jobs done, which is great because in November and December, didn't get nowhere near the number of jobs completed that I needed to do, particularly hedging. And obviously you're getting into the season for birds mating, so I needed to get these done, cut back as soon as I could. The shrubs originally, they were never intended to be a hedge. Evergreen shrubs I planted for a windbreak long before I ever thought about creating a quarry garden here. And over the last few years they got so huge, they're just your basic common cherry laurel prunus shrubs. Couldn't manage them. So last year I did a major cutback, and this year I've cut them back even further to create some sort of round hedge just as a backdrop for this very small spring border. There's more of these shrubs down this either side of the steps down to the bottom of the quarry. I'm going to take those out. I would imagine that'll be in the summertime now. Both sides they'll be removed. But today I'm going to plant bulbs, believe it or not. I've got quite a few boxes full of bulbs that never got planted back in October, November, December time because of the wet weather that we've had for months on end. And now that it's starting to dry up a little bit, the ground's not frozen, you can still plant bulbs. As long as they haven't gone mouldy, they're not soft and squishy, and the ground's not frozen. So go ahead and plant them. They'll just flower late and they'll catch up for next season. So that's what I'm going to do today. So that's the first job, plant some allium bulbs down either sides of these steps. So let me get those bulbs and I'll show you where I'm going to plant them. So either side of these central steps that take you down to the bottom of the quarry garden are some ornamental grasses. These are Anamenthalia lesionia grasses, otherwise known as the pheasant's tail grass. And these were all seedlings that I dug up from elsewhere in the garden. So far it hasn't actually cost me any money. I've added some daffodil bulbs on the interior of these grasses, on the inside. And there's nothing else in the borders because they're totally undeveloped. They will be added to as and when over the next few years. But I'm going to add some allium bulbs, which I had destined for somewhere else. But I'm going to add them in and around these grasses. And these are Purple Sensation. Yes, I'm adding them very late in the season. I got them at a reduced price. They should flower late. If they don't flower this year, they'll catch up and flower next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I do get some blooms. But let me take you down to the bottom of the quarry garden, and I just want to talk about a few plans that I've got for this year, 2024. Now, one of the main projects that I hope to not necessarily complete, but move on hugely this year is this bog garden. Now, I did attempt to start this last year. Didn't get too far. The weather really put paid to that. It's very boggy ground, as you can imagine. Bog garden, that's why I'm trying to create it here. I couldn't actually do too much with it because we had a season with so much rain. Started to dig the pond out, which will be on this side. Didn't get too far with that. Yes, it's a very small pond, but it wasn't supposed to fill up before I'd actually completed it, and that's what happened. I dug it out in August and then it rained forever after that. And it's never been empty since, because obviously this is clay. I'm digging into clay down here. And that's what will line that pond at the end of the day. Anyhow, that is the intention this year. A big push on this bog garden. All of these covers, I'm going to remove those soon. They were put there just to keep the weeds out, keep the weeds down last year. But I'll remove those. I'm going to add more grasses. These Carex Everillo grasses really love this situation. I'm going to add them all the way around these paths. I'm going to split the ones that have grown quite big or from last year, add them around here. So it's going to progress, hopefully, fingers crossed, better than what it did last year. Next big job is around the stumpery. So around this central island is a path all the way around, and eventually this will be a stumpery. Now it doesn't look much yet. I've dabbled with it a little bit during the year. I've added all of the stone all the way around it. It's pretty hard to see the definition as yet because of all the fallen leaves and all the muddy ground. But this will be the plan for this year, is to gravel right around this section so you can actually see the form of it and walk around it without actually getting covered in mud. I've added some sections from a tree. This is a silver birch tree that came down, and I cut it, or at least I didn't cut it. Mr. Quarry Gardener cut it into 3 sections, so I've added a few of those. And as stumps become available, because I don't actually have any at the moment, as they become available, I'll add them to this section. And I've got some other interesting tree branches, that sort of thing, which I'll add just to give it that look of a stumpery. I'm going to add ferns, pulmonarias, all those types of plants that look good in the stumpery area. So that's the plan for this year, gravel right round this section so you can see the actual size and the definition of the stumpery and add things as and when they become available. So that's project number 2 for this year. The next project will be up in the top Quarry Gardens, which will be the next big project up there. So let me take you up there and I'll show you what I mean. So I've never filmed in this area in the Quarry Garden before because it's not been a maintained garden at all. It's just been more of a utility area where things are stored and just dumped in here. It's not a pretty space. However, I now have a new addition of a potting shed, which does give me a very small garden greenhouse section on the end here where I can grow seedlings for the very first time in a good substantial building instead of having to grow them in the house or in a very small plastic greenhouse that I've had for the last few years. So I'm going to create a garden, and this is going to be the potting shed garden. It's a new garden room for 2024, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll share some plans of that in the next couple of weeks, along with I'll give you a tour of the interior of it as well when I've actually sorted it all out. But that's it for today. Hopefully it'll give you a flavour of what's to come this year. I'm going to try and actually upload a video weekly now, every Friday tea time, weather permitting. I'm going to try and load a video, but don't hold me to that. It's a New Year's resolution. See how long before I can actually break that one. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.